We have some breaking news at the White House on this Thursday. President Trump announcing a trade deal with the United Kingdom. It is the first since the launch of those sweeping tariffs that have rattled consumers, rattled Wall Street, triggered a global trade war. This is President Trump in the Oval Office just a few moments ago. Let's listen in.
Both countries have agreed that the economic security is national security and will be working together as allies to ensure that we have a strong industrial base, appropriate export controls and protections for key technologies and industries like steel. Steel is a big factor. Both countries will become stronger with steel and things necessary for military. You know, we used to build ships and other things literally at a level that nobody's ever seen, and we've eased up, and I would say that the UK certainly eased up, but now we're going to be uneasing both, and we work together. Once again, I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer. He's been terrific for his partnership in this matter, the special relationship and external bond. It's really an external and an internal bond between our two countries will soon be stronger than ever before. And we really do. We have a great relationship. I want to just say that the representatives of UK have been so professional. And it's been an honor doing business with all of them, and in particular the Prime Minister. And I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
All right, there you have President Trump there.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President Trump in the Oval Office just a few moments ago announcing a deal with the United Kingdom, so it would seem. I want to bring in our senior business correspondent, Chirstine Romans. Chirstine, again, not a lot of details there, but it does sound like there has been some sort of, if not an agreement, at least the framework of an agreement has been reached with our friends over the pond.
Yeah, I would call this, Craig, definitely the framework of a deal, and the president saying that the details will come into the light in the weeks ahead. But what's important here is that after weeks of uncertainty and escalating trade tensions, this is now moving in the right direction here. The president saying that the UK will allow U.S. goods fast-tracked access through its ports. There will be new market access for things like chemicals and industrial products, which is something the president really wanted. What's interesting from the standpoint of this deal being the first one, this might be among the easier of the deals to do because the U.S. and the UK essentially have a very balanced trading relationship. You know, they buy a lot from us. We buy a lot from them. There aren't big imbalances here the way there are with some other countries. The president also saying this brings the UK into this sort of economic security blanket, this economic alignment with the United States, which is definitely something that business leaders and business owners here would like to hear. The big outstanding issue, though, is still China. You heard the president mention that two of his emissaries will be going to Switzerland to talk with Chinese officials this weekend. But that is really the big trade problem that Americans will feel and American businesses are already starting to feel. So no developments on that other than talks this weekend, beginning talks, and this framework of a deal with the UK.
Yeah, Treasury Secretary Besson among those traveling to Geneva to get those talks started. Stand by for me, Chirstine, if you can. I want to bring in Garrett Hake now, our senior White House correspondent, joining us from the North Lawn again as we watch President Trump in the Oval Office. He appears to have the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, on speakerphone making some comments. We're told that later today we should hear from the Prime Minister as well, his take on this deal that's been announced. But let me bring you in, Garrett, because oftentimes, Garrett, I know that you guys will get a little bit more detail going into a news conference like this, if you will, and maybe some detail after. Can you add any more to what we just heard from the president? Any more details?
Well, Craig, sadly, this is not one of those occasions in which the White House has briefed us about what would be the details of this. Only, I was told this morning, to focus on what some of what they call non-tariff barriers to trade are between the United Kingdom and the U.S. Things like whether the U.S. allows imports of American beef, for example, or a digital services tax that exists in the United Kingdom on, U.S. digital products. These are the kinds of things that this agreement might be trying to get rid of. As Chirstine pointed out, I think this is very much an agreement in principle that will be papered over at a later date, but it can't come soon enough for this White House. They have been very keen to show some kind of progress after this month since what the president called Liberation Day, in which he slapped tariffs on essentially every country around the globe. They have said that they are negotiating with 18 major economies around the world. This is the first of those to come to any kind of fruition, even if it is a small step towards relief from the tariffs that the president has put in place.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.